On the 13th of January 2012, the Costa Concordia struck rocks off Italy's coast. 32 people died. This wasn't a freak accident. It was the result of 10 distinct, documented failures, each one preventable. The official investigation reveals exactly how a modern cruise ship carrying over 4,200 people became one of the deadliest maritime disasters in recent history. Here's what really happened. The disaster began with something as basic as choosing the correct navigational chart. Captain Schettino was using a map designed for open ocean transit, not close shore maneuvering. He relied on Italian hydrographic chart #6, scaled at 1 to 100, 0, 0, 0. For the dangerous waters near Giglio Island, regulations required. Chart has Sean Watwo at 1 to 50, 0, 0, 0, showing twice the detail. The chart he used couldn't accurately display underwater rocks, depth contours, or hazards within half a mile of shore. Schettino made a verbal, last-minute route change before departure. No updated charts were prepared, no safety assessment was conducted. The bridge team simply accepted it. Company procedures explicitly stated, use the highest scale chart available for coastal navigation. This rule had been in place for years. Without proper charts, the crew was navigating blind. The next failure would make that blindness deadly. The ship wasn't supposed to be anywhere near Giglio Island. The deviation was unauthorized, unscheduled, and violated basic maritime protocol. Standard procedure required voyage plans to be submitted to the company before departure. Schettino bypassed this entirely. He verbally ordered the route change minutes before leaving port, no risk assessment. No crew briefing, no company approval. The official investigation found no evidence of company rules which addressed the unscheduled side trip. Schettino claimed he'd done similar maneuvers before. No one challenged him. A previous close shore pass near Giglio had occurred months earlier, but in daylight, at slow speed, and with proper planning. This was different. The detour brought the ship into waters it wasn't prepared for. What happened next removed the final safety net. Modern cruise ships have multiple automated warning systems. Schettino turned them off. The integrated navigation system included a guard sector alarm, a virtual safety zone ahead of the ship. When it detected shallow water, rocks, or land within set distances, it triggered warnings. Schettino manually disabled this system before approaching Giglio. His justification? I was navigating by sight because I knew those seabeds well. He'd supposedly done this route 3 or 4 times. His confidence replaced technology designed to prevent exactly this scenario. The system was designed to alert the bridge when approaching the 10-meter depth contour exactly where the rocks were. It would have sounded multiple alarms. With charts inadequate and alarms off, the bridge had no automated protection. Human error was now the only variable left. In the final 20 seconds before impact, a critical steering command was misunderstood. The helmsman heard one thing. The captain meant another. Helmsman Jacob Rusli Bin from Indonesia spoke neither fluent English nor Italian. At 21 hours, 44 minutes, and 48 seconds, Schettino ordered 325 degrees. Bin confirmed 315. The first officer tried to correct him but said 335. 8 seconds of confusion followed. Bin turned the rudder the wrong direction, corrected himself, then corrected again. Costa Cruises recruited crew from 38 countries. The company's official language was Italian, but bridge commands were often given in English. No standardized language proficiency testing was enforced. The investigation found multiple instances during the voyage where crew members couldn't understand orders. The first engineer, a Bulgarian, admitted he did not fully understand orders given in Italian. That 8-second delay eliminated any chance of avoiding the rocks, but the ship's speed made the impact far worse. Cruise ships approaching shore are supposed to reduce speed. Costa Concordia was doing the opposite. The ship maintained 15.5 to 16 knots, nearly full cruising speed, while half a mile from shore in poorly lit waters at night. At 16 knots, the ship required 1,299 meters, 0.7 nautical miles to stop. It was already closer than that. Schettino wanted the approach to look smooth and impressive. Slowing down would have made the maneuver less dramatic for passengers and the island's residents. Speed meant spectacle. Bridge procedures explicitly required reducing speed in shallow or coastal waters to allow a sufficient margin of maneuver, even in case of failure. That rule was ignored. Speed and miscommunication combined to seal the outcome. But the bridge team could have stopped it if anyone had spoken up. There were 5 qualified people on the bridge. Not one of them challenged the captain's decisions. Present were the first officer, second officer, third officer, a cadet, and the helmsman. 3 were watching radar. None called out the decreasing distance to shore. None suggested slowing down. None questioned the captain's proximity to rocks marked on their screens. The official report called their behavior reprehensible, noting nobody seemed to have urged the master to accelerate the turn or to give warning on the looming danger. Italian maritime culture emphasized strict hierarchy. Challenging a captain was rare. Bridge resource management training designed to prevent exactly this had been implemented across the cruise industry after prior disasters. It failed here. The ship hit the rocks at 21 hours, 45 minutes, and 7 seconds. Within 6 minutes, the damage became catastrophic. The next failure turned a collision into a sinking. After impact, the ship lost all main power. The emergency diesel generator was supposed to keep critical systems running. It didn't. The EDG started automatically, ran for 41 seconds, then shut down. The cooling fan motor was jammed. Temperature spiked to 110 degrees Celsius. The safety system cut power. Engineers manually restarted it 3 times. Each time, it overheated and stopped. The bilge pumps, steering hydraulics, and emergency lighting operated intermittently. Crew used a screwdriver to manually bypass the emergency switchboard's automatic connection system. It worked briefly, then failed again. No backup cooling system existed. The investigation reviewed maintenance logs. Prior EDG tests, recorded 5 days before the disaster, showed the system functioning normally. The cooling fan failure was catastrophic and sudden. Without continuous emergency power, the ship couldn't pump water or steer, but the damage was already beyond any pump's capacity. Ship's critical systems weren't spread out. They were concentrated in 5 adjacent compartments, all of which flooded. Watertight compartments 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 contained all 6 main diesel generators, both propulsion motors, steering hydraulics, bilge pumps, and fire suppression systems. The 53-meter gash ripped through all 5. Compartment 5 flooded completely in minutes. The others followed. The ship was designed to survive flooding in 2 adjacent compartments per 2006 SOLAS regulations. 5 flooded compartments exceeded any survivability standard. Designers prioritized efficiency over redundancy. After the disaster, maritime regulators recognized the flaw. New rules now require discontinuity between compartments containing ship's essential systems. Costa Concordia was compliant with old rules, but the design was inherently vulnerable. With propulsion, power, and pumps gone, the ship was dead in the water. But the worst failure was still unfolding above deck. The collision happened at 21:45. Authorities weren't told the truth until 22:36:51 minutes later. At 22:07, Civitavecchia Coast Guard called the ship. The crew reported a blackout, but the situation is under control. No mention of collision, no mention of flooding. At 22:22, they requested tug assistance, but still didn't declare an emergency. Only at 22:36, after repeated pressure, did Schettino declare distress. Phone recordings reveal Schettino told company crisis coordinator Roberto Ferrarini that the blackout caused the crash, the opposite of reality. Ferrarini, convicted later for delaying response, never pushed Schettino to evacuate faster. Passengers were already calling relatives from the ship, who then called authorities. The first alert to the Coast Guard came from a passenger's mother, not the crew. The delay cost lives. But even when the order finally came, there was no system to guide it. The crew had no automated way to monitor which compartments were flooding, how fast, or what the ship's stability was in real time. Costa Concordia wasn't required to have flooding detection sensors in watertight compartments. Stability software existed on board but wasn't designed for real-time damage assessment. During the emergency, it crashed and wouldn't restart. Crew relied on visual inspections, climbing down into flooding compartments in darkness. The 2006-era regulations didn't mandate such systems. Costa voluntarily installed basic stability software, but it was only for pre-voyage load calculations, not crisis response. Modern ships now require integrated damage monitoring. By the time engineers confirmed 5 compartments were flooded, the ship was already listing severely. Automated sensors would have given that information in seconds, not 40 minutes. Without knowing the extent of damage, the captain delayed evacuation, believing the ship could stay afloat. It couldn't. These 10 failures share a common signature. Everyone assumed someone else had checked. The captain assumed the crew would stop him. The crew assumed the captain knew the route. The company assumed the procedures were being followed. The regulators assumed the 2006 standards were sufficient. Each assumption built on the last, creating what investigators call organizational accident, a disaster born not from one catastrophic error, but from a chain of small, normalized failures. The Costa Concordia wasn't sunk by a rock. It was sunk by a system that allowed 10 preventable mistakes to align. And that's the pattern behind almost every modern disaster, engineered over time, invisible until the collapse. The official investigation concluded. The human element is the root cause, but that tells only half the story. Disasters aren't built in moments. They're built in policies, shortcuts, and silent bridges. 32 people died not because of one captain's mistake, but because every layer of defense failed at once. That's the lesson Costa Concordia leaves behind.